Welcome back to First Look Asia on this Thursday morning. Now, what do modern art paintings by Pablo Picasso, Hernando R. Ocampo, Georgette Chen, Henri Matisse, and Nguyen Jiaqi have in common?
Great job with those names. Well, they're housed under the same roof in Singapore at the moment. Tae Sen Wei joins the National Gallery's senior curator, Lisa Horikawa, for a quick tour.
Whether you're an art lover or not, it would be a shame to miss this exhibition. 217 paintings from 20th century Europe and Southeast Asia displayed together in Singapore in the first international collaboration for the National Gallery, co-curated and presented with the Centre Pompidou in Paris.
Behind me is the former Supreme Court and City Hall, now home to the National Gallery in Singapore. I'm just about to go into view an exhibition of works by 51 modern artists from Europe and Southeast Asia called Reframing Modernism. If you haven't already seen it, it's on until the 17th of July.
But what does it mean to reframe modernism, this period of art in the 20th century that aimed to break free from the traditions of the past? The National Gallery's senior curator Lisa Horikawa explains.
So the history of modernism has often been told as a story of influence and how styles and artistic concepts developed in the West have influenced the rest of the world. But we know that this story is incomplete and that Southeast Asian artists developed their own forms of modernism.
And to give us a taste of what's on display, Ms. Horikawa takes us on a mini tour of a handful of paintings.
So this is a work by Vietnamese artist Nguyen Jiaqi. He's known as one of the leading pioneers of lacquer painting in Vietnam. Lacquer, which used to be the traditional medium for decorative objects, he transformed it into an expressive modern medium in his painting. And when you compare his work with artists like Matisse, whose work is shown behind us, you can also get a sense of how Matisse was trying to create his composition by creating strong contrast of color and these curved linear kind of lines in his work. So I think both of these artists kind of share a sensibility to creative, decorative quality.
Yeah. Right. So you're going to show us another pairing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So in this section we have works by Filipino artist H.R. Ocampo shown alongside works by Robert and Sonia Delaunay from France. He was a largely self-taught artist and he formed his compositions by combining these nuanced shades of colors and forms and patterns. But in this particular work, we have the title of the work signed there, 53Q. 53 refers to the year that the painting was made. And you can see in these skeletal-like lines, he had formed as a core composing element of the work that and these vibrant colors and the patterns that we could
imagine. Of a tropical forest.
Exactly, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is this similar to, say, the next one that we're going to have a look at?
Okay.
Okay, so what do we have here? It kind of reminds me a bit of Cubism or a bit of, it looks musical to me.
That's a very good point. So this is a work, two works by husband and wife couple, Robert and Sonia Delaunay. And they invented this special form of kind of like an offshoot of Cubism called Orphism, in which they explored the effects that contrasting colors and lines can create optical effect through their work.
And how does this compare to what we've just seen from the Philippine artists?
Right, so I think their interest in forming visual harmony or rhythm through colors and this very careful approach to painting. I think to create works like this, an artist would have to work very carefully.
I think the thing with abstract art is people think, hey, I can do this.
It's really, prior to the emergence of these artists, it might seem as though that it might be an easy thing to do, but no one thought of presenting this as a form of art prior to their emergence.
So thank you, Lisa. That was most enlightening for me. I've learned so much, so thank you very much.
Such beautiful pieces.
Amazing, love it.
Well, to tell us more about the exhibition and about art in the region, we have Dr. Georgette Chen, Director, National Art Gallery here in Singapore. Welcome so much for, thank you so much for coming to our show this morning. Okay, so how does this exhibition fit into the overall mission of the National Gallery?
Well, one of the key missions of the National Gallery Singapore is to further the understanding of art in Singapore and Southeast Asia within a larger global context. So we have our 2 permanent exhibitions which tell the story of art in Singapore and Southeast Asia from the 19th century to the present day. So our exhibitions in the Singtel Special Exhibition Gallery extend this by exploring the relationships between the art of Singapore, Southeast Asia and other parts of the world. In this case, the art of Europe from 1900s to about 1960s.
That's a nice combination of Asian art as well as Western art. This is an exhibition no one should be missing.
Absolutely. This is the first time the public can see Southeast Asian artists alongside European masters. So we have artists, as you've heard, by Le Faux, Sujoyono, Afandi, Georgette Chen, Chong Su Ping, just to name a few, alongside European masters from the Centre Pompidou's collection. Artists such as Pablo Picasso, Henri Matisse, Marc Chagall, amongst many others.
A lot of work in setting up this exhibition and curating it. What lessons did the gallery learn during this process?
So this exhibition has been co-organized and co-curated between the Centre Pompidou and the National Gallery Singapore, which meant that curators from both teams worked together to develop the concept, the theme, as well as select the artists and the artworks. So what we learned very interestingly was how Southeast Asian artists kind of responded very much to their local concerns and conditions in coming up with the styles of art that they did.
It's taken like 2 years in the making to get all the art collections across from Paris to Singapore. Now, there's a little story, I think we were just talking about it before we came on air, and you mentioned something about Georgette Chen. There's an art piece there in Pompidou?
Yes, absolutely. In developing this exhibition with our colleagues from the Centre Pompidou, they discovered that they actually had a work by Georgette Chen in their collection. So as we all know, Georgette Chen lived in Paris in the 1930s, and she exhibited there, and that was how the work ended up in the collection. So this is a work that we're also showing in the exhibition, so it's a homecoming of sorts.
Do you think the National Gallery fulfills a missing component when it comes to art education in the region?
Art education is also one of our key missions, and it's something we're working on various levels. So we have the Keppel Centre for Art Education, which is one of the largest facilities of its kind, and it's specially designed to grow the appreciation and understanding of art amongst the young. We're also working with the Ministry of Education so that our students can learn more about our artists and their works. And last but not least, we're also working with one of the universities here to start a new art history program.
And we saw some of the pictures earlier. So many students taking a look at these pieces. How's the response been?
I think it's very encouraging. This is the first time I think so many visitors in Singapore can see such works. And it's a great opportunity both for everyone and for students as well.
Now, you've got to tell us very quickly, what can we look forward to? Obviously, the Singapore Art Gallery is just amazing. I think it's just gorgeous. What other works in progress do you have?
So our next special exhibition will be Artists and Empire, which we're co-curating with the Tate Britain in London, where we're looking at the role of the artists within the British Empire, but specifically on artists who were working outside the centre of the empire in places like Malaysia and Singapore, what was then Malaya. So look out for this in October.
Oh, we'll definitely have you back in. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Dr. Georgette Chen from the National Gallery of Singapore.